Hi guys, Emily here. So as I'm sitting here recording this, I am currently 34 weeks pregnant. I really cannot believe how quickly this pregnancy has flown by, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the chaos of the past few months between moving and buying, selling a house, getting married, and just all of that happening all at once. It feels like only now that we're finally in our new home that I'm actually able to focus just on being pregnant. So I placed an order with In His Hands Birth Supply a few weeks back, which is a birth supply company located out of Texas. And I didn't think of sharing it until I had a friend of mine actually ask what I had purchased in my order. So some of these things are things that I recommend to my birth clients as well. In case you didn't know, I'm also a birth doula. But some of these things are items that I just wanted to have on hand for myself. So in the next 5-6 weeks that I have remaining of my pregnancy, there are a few other things I want to get accomplished. I want to prepare some freezer meals for postpartum, create some padsicles. I have to still dig downstairs in my drawers and pull up my herbal bath blend that I made for after birth. And I need to bottle up my shepherd's purse tincture, which, in case you didn't know, shepherd's purse is exceptionally effective at helping to stop the excess bleeding or hemorrhaging after birth. It's something I hope to not have to use, but something that's just generally good to have on hand. So I feel that now that we're finally in our home, I'm able to start spreading out and start unboxing some of my workshop items so I can start knocking some of these things off of my list. I don't think this baby will come super early. Caleb, when I was pregnant with him, he came, according to everyone else, he came a week early, but according to my calculations, he was right on time. I said he was going to be December 5th, and he was December 5th on the dot. So I feel like the same thing will happen with this baby. Everyone is saying August 10th, 11th. I'm thinking it'll be closer to the beginning of August, like August 3rd or so. So that's kind of what I'm basing all my planning on. All right, so let's dive into the items. All right, so the first two items I wanted to share are bulb syringes, the 1 ounce size and the 2 ounce size. So when you're giving birth, you may see your birth attendant using a bulb syringe on the baby once it's delivered. Sometimes the nostrils and the mouth are suctioned to clear out any fluid, but in reality, as long as the baby is crying, there really isn't any need to suction out any fluids, because as the baby is crying, it is expelling those fluids from its lungs. But still something good to have on hand. But bulb syringes are amazing in general. I used the one that was given to me by the hospital after Kayla was born for a long time. The suction from kind of the hospital grade bulb syringes is so much more powerful than anything I could find in the store in comparison. And it's great to use when Caleb had a stuffy nose or when I had a stuffy nose for just kind of suctioning any fluid out. So really that's what I have these on hand for, is when we get a stuffy nose later in the year. Alright, so the next item is this After Ease tincture from Wish Garden. I had heard so many good things about this tincture that I wanted to make sure I had some on hand. It helps to calm, support, and relax the body after birth, and helps to kind of lessen those afterbirth pains, which if you've given birth to multiple children, you may have realized that the more children that you give birth to, the more those after pains might be a little bit more painful. So I did want to have this on hand, and this includes yarrow, motherwort, black hallbark, and cramp bark. So it's just kind of a good general tincture to have on hand. All right, so the next thing I have on hand is this Angelica tincture, again from Wish Garden. I may not even need this tincture, but it's something I wanted to have on hand, just like the same thing with the shepherd's purse tincture. I may not need it, and I hope I do not need it, but it's something good to have on hand. So Angelica root, in case you didn't know, is a powerful uterine stimulant that causes the placenta to release. So this will be good to have on hand if I have issues with a retained placenta. So usually the placenta is delivered pretty quick after giving birth, usually about 5 minutes to 30 minutes after having your baby. but there may sometimes be issues with the placenta being retained or even coming out in pieces. Ideally, you want the placenta to come out all in one piece. So if you have issues with that, then Angelica tincture may be something you want to reach for. But if you do use it, you want to keep an extra eye out for postpartum hemorrhaging, which is kind of where that shepherd's purse tincture comes in hand as well. All right, so the next item is arnica. So I know I have some of this somewhere, I just don't know where, and I don't want to not be able to find it when I need it. So this is a homeopathic remedy that you can use during birth, as it encourages healing, it controls bleeding, it reduces swelling and bruising. And also nearly all women can benefit from it during labor, as it helps reduce exhaustion. It kind of gives that second wind, particularly during long, slow, painful labors. And if a C-section does become necessary, it can help you recover from surgery. And it also has so many benefits outside of birth and labor that it's probably the one homeopathic remedy that we use most often in our household. All right, and then we have arnica massage oil. And this looks small because it is. It's 1/3 of an ounce, or 0.34 fluid ounces. So I keep this in my doula bag, but I'm actually almost out of it. And quick side note for aspiring doulas who may be watching this, when it comes to massage oils for clients, I usually have the client bring their own preferred oil. This helps to avoid cross-contamination and potential allergic reactions to something that I might have on hand. But I do keep this available as an option, typically in these smaller sizes versus a larger bottle, which helps me to avoid cross-contamination as well between clients. So while arnica is great for healing after birth, I actually purchased this to use during labor to help kind of relax my muscles and to assist my partner in helping to provide some counter pressure to some of the aches and pains that I might experience during the labor process. So it's actually just a massage oil. It has kind of a slight warming effect to it, which is what I like about it. But it's also great to use like after exercising or just whenever you have like a sore muscle or something like that. All right, so this next item I have never heard of before and I haven't used it before, but I did want to try it out. So it's the Cord Care Powder from Birth Song Botanicals. So it contains a lot of herbs with antimicrobial properties, with a lot of drying properties. So like myrrh, neem, yarrow, Oregon grapefruit, lavender. And it kind of helps expedite the drying process of the umbilical cord, helping it to dry out and fall off faster. What's cool about it is that it's not just a one-time thing that you use just for like your umbilical cord. You can also use the leftover powder to create a rinse for your more tender areas after giving birth, or you can apply it as a first aid powder anytime you get any cuts or scrapes. So something that's kind of cool to have on hand just for any time. All right, so the next item is probably the one that I was most excited about receiving. It was actually back ordered when I first placed my order, which is something to keep in mind if you're wanting this for your own labor. You may want to order it a little bit earlier in your pregnancy. It is Childbirth from Mountain Meadow Herbs. So Childbirth is a unique blend of herbs that has been traditionally used to benefit mothers with a shorter recovery time, less pain during labor and delivery, and also has been thought to lead to an easier labor, especially for those who are prone to having long, difficult labors. So I actually ordered my Childbirth without the blue cohosh because I'm not quite convinced of the safety of using blue cohosh during pregnancy, just because of the properties of it and the fact that I don't know how my body will react to it, and I don't want to risk going into labor earlier than I should. Since this also contains red raspberry leaf, I also plan to stop drinking my red raspberry leaf tea. I've been drinking about 1 to 2 cups a day for the past, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm going to stop drinking that when I start this. So you really want to start taking gentle birth about 5 weeks before your estimated due date to get your body acclimated to it and to let those herbs really start helping your body prepare for birth and for labor. So gentle birth contains a lot of herbs. So it contains, let me see, blessed thistle, false unicorn, red raspberry leaf, bayberry root, partridge berry, ginger root, skullcap, motherwort, and wild yam. You can also find it without the red raspberry leaf if you wanted to, like in case you wanted to keep drinking your red raspberry tea along with taking the tincture. But I decided I would just take the tincture instead of drinking the tea and the tincture. All right, so just a few more items left. So mesh panties. I don't really have much to say about these. They're not the most attractive things in the world, but mesh panties are always good to have on hand after birth. There's nothing very exciting about them. They feel soft. They kind of look like that at the bottom. You put them on. If you've given birth before, then you've probably seen them or seen something similar. What's cool about these is that when you're done wearing them, you can just rip them at the sides instead of stepping out. And these will definitely come in handy with the cloth padsicles I plan on making soon. And I do plan on making that into a video as well. But I think I only got about 5 of these or so, because I really didn't think I needed any more than that, since I will be using the cloth pads as well during my postpartum recovery. All right, so I got this abdominal binder. So after Kayla was born, I had a lot of issues with abdominal separation, and honestly, I didn't pay as much attention to correcting it as I should have, even though that is one of the things I actually work with clients on during their postpartum recovery. And since I didn't, I ended up developing a hernia, which if you've seen me in person or might have seen like a bump picture or something, the hernia is very obvious at this point because my belly button is just sticking out. It's not something that I can help at this time, but it is something that I want to try to correct naturally through exercise and support instead of having to resort to surgery. So I ended up getting this abdominal binder. So it's not the most attractive thing, and there are other binders, postpartum binders you can use. This is just the one that I went with because I was already ordering through the shop. But it provides compression, it helps support the abdominal area, and just something that I thought would be good to have on hand. All right, and this is the last item. So it is a retractable tape measure. So the retractable tape measure, I can always use a tape measure, not only for measuring the size of the baby once the baby is born, but also the size of my growing belly, just to see if I'm kind of on track with things, or really just anything. Retractable tape measures come in handy for so many things, and I actually am going to keep it in my doula bag so that way I always know where it is. So that's everything that came in my order from In His Hands Birth Supply. Of course, there are so many other things I plan on having on hand for my birth as well. If you're interested in hearing more about what some of those items are, or have questions about any of the products I mentioned, or why certain products contain certain herbs, please make sure to leave a comment below. I love talking about birth related stuff. I'm a birth nerd, very much so. So if you have any birth related comments or want me to do a video on anything related to birth as well, drop it in the comment box. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. All right, y'all take care. Bye.